All right, it seems like my clock is showing it's 6 p.m. It's the Central European time. So, hello everyone. New live stream here is starting. And again, I'm focusing on Heroes of Bronze, which is my long-term project that I was finally able to release in the last month. And there was quite a bit of questions about the project, and I wanted to answer some of them, and especially as the title of this presentation indicates, I wanted to focus on the future of the project, tell you a little bit about what I plan and what I definitely will be doing in the near future. Nevertheless, before we start, please tell me, as usual, please tell me in the discussion whether the sound is okay, whether the camera is okay. Especially last time I had some problems with the connection and I was lagging a little bit. So hopefully this time it's gonna be just fine. So let me know in the comments. And Pavel Vichik, hello, ahoy. Geicha, I guess, hello. My volume is a little bit low, so thank you for the feedback. How about now? I try to gain my gain. So let me know if the sound is better now. And hello everyone in the comment section. I'm glad that you came here to watch this live stream focused on the future of Heroes of Bronze project. I'll wait for the heads up if the sound's still low. Okay, I'll go even higher. So sounds good. Nice. So Arthur Herring, hello. Pissink, nice to meet you. Nice to see you here in the discussion. Dilik and Yusuf, Stavros, and many others. Relinquished Forever, nice to meet you. Nice to see you in the chat. And Dilik and Shiva Prasad, hello. So I think the chat is now filling in, and the sound seems to be okay. So as we are okay to go. So let me start this stream with talking a little bit about the first big milestone of my Heroes of Bronze project, which is of course the short film you've been waiting for so many years, and that I've been working on. Yeah, I tried to finish it in like 2020, and yeah, it stretched a little bit, so it was released last month. And I am so very happy to announce that we are nearing 600,000 views on YouTube. So thank you for all the amazing likes, comments, sharing, everything. It's just so amazing, and I'm so happy to receive such great positive feedback. I was a little bit afraid if there won't be any backlash. I wasn't sure what to expect, but I did not expect so much positivity from all of you guys. So thank you very much, really. And thank you for all the newcomers in the chat here. Hello everybody. I will be answering questions at the end of this live stream. And this live stream is going to be a little bit shorter than usual, at top like an hour. And what I definitely want to focus on is telling you all about the future of the project and what I have planned after I've just released the short film, because it's definitely not the end for Heroes of Bronze. In fact, it's mostly just the beginning, at least for what I have planned. So let's get to it. So yeah, great success. So many comments, so many sharing. Let's make it to 1 million views, guys. So if you want to help, you can definitely share the video, the memory short film. All the links are in the description of the video below. And helping, commenting and sharing definitely helps a lot. And I will need all of your support in the following months and years, because yeah, as I mentioned, I plan to continue with the project. Thank you everybody for the positive comments in the comment section. I will get to you, and as I mentioned at the end of the chat, I will be answering questions. But right now, I want to tell you a little bit about the story behind Heroes of Bronze, because I will not lie, I started with just an idea for a short film. Then I started creating characters for the short film, and suddenly the more I worked on the characters, they just came to life for me, and I started thinking about all little stories and behind the scenes for these characters, and I created little storylines for them, and gradually like a bigger picture of a larger story started emerging for Heroes of Bronze. And I just couldn't sleep. I had to I laid everything down, and the result is basically a timeline for 6 books or 6 animated series. Yeah, I will not beat about the bush. The ultimate goal for this whole project is a TV series, hopefully in the quality or even better than I showed in the short film. So that's the ultimate goal. It's a very, very difficult goal to achieve, I know, but one can dream, right? And if you help me with your support, I will definitely have more chances to reach this goal. So, and based on the comments underneath the short film, a lot of people would be happy to see such a series, I don't know, on Netflix or Amazon Prime or anywhere. So, yeah. This is the ultimate goal. But before that, it will be a long road. It will be very difficult to achieve that. And right now, and especially this year, I will be focusing on polishing up the story behind Heroes of Bronze. And the story itself is set between, you can see in the presentation here, the years 513 BC to 479 BC. Probably not really, you're not really sure, maybe if you're not versed in that part of the history, what happened there, but it is basically the start. It is about Greco-Persian wars, the conflict between Greeks and this huge empire of the Persians, and I will be depicting this period through the eyes of one family. You could see that family in the short film, The Memory, which is of course Nikephoros, his son Alkaios, and his wife Penelope, and they are the main protagonists of the books or maybe the future TV series. And but it's not just about them. The story will be the way you know it from other TV series or books of this type. So there will be a lot of secondary characters, and it will not be just the Greeks. I want to make a story that is complex and that shows both sides of the conflict, and it's not just like the Greeks are good guys, the Persians are bad guys. No, not at all. There are heroes on both sides. So I know that so far it seemed like I'm depicting only the Greeks as heroes, but it is not this way in the larger story behind Heroes of Bronze. So that's what I really wanted to make clear. This will be a story that will showcase both sides and will do them justice, hopefully, or at least that's my goal. So yeah, as I mentioned, the ultimate goal TV series, but it's very difficult to achieve such a thing. So I will be I will be working on the story, but I will also be searching for funding, because such a goal needs enormous funding, and it will be a long road for me. But I don't have to stop at this point. I will be definitely working on this project more, and what I can start with, since I'm writing the overall story, is books, and I will be releasing digitally books. I've already written the first book in the series Heroes of Bronze, and I have 5 more to write. But yeah, it's a long road ahead. But I'd really like to be releasing illustrated books first, and only then, when I polish up the story like this, with build some community, build some feedback, I will maybe jump into creation of the TV series. So yeah, it's not directly jumping into attempting TV series. I will be building up the story first through written stories, even short stories. And to make this clear, here's a little timeline for you. So here we are, January 2023, I released the Memory short film, which you've probably seen, and it's that 6-minute short film that I was working on for 4 years. It was in my spare time, and majority of the time I was building the assets for the world. So I had to build everything, basically not everything, the nature assets I downloaded from Megascans, and there were even some assets that I bought from various CG stores, but most of the armor, the weapons, the characters, the buildings and stuff I had to build to be able to show the world that I want to create. And now, since I have all the models already done, it will be much faster to create more short films. So you can see in 2024, ambitiously, I put here this little part where Heroes of Bronze short film number 2 will be released. Fingers crossed. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. I'm still thinking about the topic for this short film, and I'd really like to tie it to the overall story of Heroes of Bronze. So you can see when you look below the line, there's a first short story set in the Heroes of Bronze world called A Few Steadfast Friends. It will be about Nikephoros, the main hero of the short film, meeting some of the other main characters of the story at basically an event, like an athletic event. So a lot of action, hopefully a lot of fun for the readers. And I will be, I'm illustrating, it's done, it's written, I needed to edit it, but basically I'm ready to publish it once I create illustrations for it. And I imagine like next month I could be releasing this first short story of the project. And as mentioned, when you look in the middle below the line, Heroes of Bronze book number 1 called Waking the Titan. I'd like to release it at the end, towards the end of this year. I'm still thinking about the way I'm gonna be releasing this thing, because it's like 32 chapters. I need to make a lot of illustrations for it, but the overall story of this book is done. By the way, the Waking the Titan subtitle alludes to Waking the Persian Empire, because this first book in the series is actually about the very start of the Greco-Persian Wars and the whole Ionian Revolt. So it will be like an introduction book into the whole conflict. And then I just have to finish the remaining 5 books in the unforeseeable future. And you can see right at the end here, at the very end of the line, is the Heroes of Bronze TV series that hopefully someday is gonna happen. So yeah, that's the plan. One can dream, right? And I like to dream big, so why not? Let's do it. This is how one page of the short story that I'm gonna be releasing looks. There are bigger illustrations that I'm currently working on. This is just a little close-up on the main hero Nikephoros in his slightly younger form than you could have seen him in the short film The Memory. Here he is still, he's about 30 years old. He doesn't have his scar that you may have noticed in the short film on the cheek. You will learn how he got that scar in this very short story. And yeah, I can't wait what you guys will say about this short story, if you like it. Maybe I suck at writing, so I gotta test this all, but I had a lot of fun writing this, and I have a lot of fun illustrating this. So you will be able to get the first short story in a very short time at my Patreon. More details on that later. But I will be releasing the short stories and the chapters of the book on my Patreon, and only later I will release it like a gathered stories on my Gumroad. So that's the way you'll get to the stories. And speaking of the book, this is another page, and this one is from the first book in the series. Yeah, as you can see here, in 2022, while rendering Heroes of Bronze, the short film, I was writing the book, the first one in the series, and I was able to finish it because there was a lot of rendering to do. So yeah, I wrote a book while rendering my animated short film. It needs some editor, it needs historian to tell me if I'm not completely, like, if I haven't done something very wrong when it comes to historical accuracy in that book. Yeah, hopefully I'll start releasing the first chapters of the book this spring, again on my Patreon. Yeah, as said, Waking the Titan is the subtitle, and it will be followed by 5 more books. And this is where you come in. As you can see, I have grand plans for this project, maybe too grand, but we'll see. Time will tell. But of course, I will need, I appreciate so much your support with all the commenting and the sharing, and the patrons that I already have are amazing. And actually those guys who already funded or supported me on my Patreon, I was able to pay for the music for Heroes of Bronze, the short film, and also for the voiceover, the main voiceover of the actress Abigail Rice that you could hear in that short film. So that was just like a little start for this. And now it would be amazing if the Patreon support could grow so I can build a small team. Definitely, I plan on doing that. And I am thinking about maybe making a Discord community, you know, so we can all create like a little group of people, excited to talk about ancient history and maybe bringing it to life. So that's something I'm pondering. Not really sure about the Discord yet, but maybe with your replies and comments, it will help me decide if something like that is worthy. And something that might interest you. And of course, I'd like to hire a historian, someone who will tell me about accuracy, and what if I'm not making too much of whenever I'll be making an error that is unforgettable and unforgivable, this historian might stop me and help me make the project much better. So that's definitely something I need for the future, and all that. I will be helped a lot by your support. And the way you can support this project is like non-financially, just there is a link in the description of the video. You can jump in there, and there is a newsletter link. You can subscribe to my newsletter feed, and yeah, I'll be sending you news about the project. And even by doing that, this helps the project because it helps me bring the community together. And whenever there is something new or some call to action, I can just send you an email and inform you, and hopefully, make this community grow and achieve the goals. Then for YouTube, you can go to the short film if you haven't done so already. And I know a lot of you have done so, but you can go to the YouTube short film, The Memory, Heroes of Bronze, The Memory, and comment underneath it. That helps a lot, because YouTube works the way that the more comments there are, the more positive reactions there are, the more it shares the short film. So sharing definitely helps it, because it gets to spread among more people, and there are more opportunities when the audience is larger. And yeah, I mentioned it numerous times, I have a Patreon, so I'm sorry I keep repeating this, but the Patreon at this point of time, Patreon is really the key for me to be able to fund parts of the project. And yeah, all the links are in the description. And I said, this is a short live stream. This is all I wanted to say. I just wanted to clarify what the project is. No, it's not a game. I love a game like this, but I can't make a game. And for me, the most important thing about Heroes of Bronze is the underlying story that I'm trying to build. And hopefully someday in the future, it will end up being a TV series. And that's all from me. And now I haven't looked into the comment section. I'm sorry, guys, but now I'm transitioning into the into the comment section, and I will try to answer whatever questions you have. So if you have questions, definitely let me know. I'll try to answer them. So first from Temujin, where do I get the books? As I mentioned, it will be available on my Patreon. Link is in the description below, and then only after I release a lot of these, I will gather everything on my Gumroad, and even the non-patrons will be able to get it. But the Patreon is the safest bet now. Any interest, Magister Militium asks, any interest in working with Epic History TV on ancient Greece? I am currently communicating with the guys at Epic History TV. I love their stuff. And yeah, I can't tell you anything specific at this point. Nothing specific has even been like created yet, but I will definitely be interested in collaborating with Epic History TV because I'm a great fan. So yeah, hopefully. How do you make the illustrated style look from renders like the one you showed earlier? Asks Druster Art. That's something like a workflow that I developed. My workflows are all about saving time, so I probably could paint everything by hand, but it's very slow for me and I'm not very good at it. So I developed this workflow where I basically utilize my 3D models. I render them from Blender in a very low quality, and Blender rendering denoiser helps me basically. The shittier you make the render with not enough samples, it basically denoises everything and makes it look almost painterly. I bring this result into Photoshop and I paint over it. And this way I am able to make a painting of the main character, for example, in a matter of, I don't know, hour or two, instead of like trying to paint something that looks even remotely good. That would take me like a week. So I have developed this workflow where it's a combination of 3D and 2D painting, and it looks painterly, but there are 3D models underneath everything. So I can't call myself a painter. I really suck at that. But yeah, it's all about the story for me. So there isn't really like it's how I achieve my paintings isn't really that important for me. Okay, can you make a course step by step? I have a lot of courses at my Gumroad and at cgboost.com especially. You can go to my website, heroesofbronze.com/courses, and there I have listed all of my courses that I made over the years, and I will continue in this. So definitely there will be more courses from me in the near, oh, not really near, but this year, definitely. Next question. Hello, Martin. What do you think about using Kickstarter for funding? That's something that I definitely consider at this point. Like personally, I'm at a point where I finished the short film, I passed out, then I had like a few weeks of rest. Not really a rest, but yeah, I definitely worked less than before that. And now I woke up and I'm figuring out what to do next. So Kickstarter campaign is definitely something that I will be thinking about in the following weeks. So definite yes. Jill is asking, are you rendering only with cycles or with Eevee as well? It depends, but in Blender, the offline render cycles with the light, with the ray tracing quality of its rendering is something that allowed me to achieve those like very nice soft results for the lighting. A lot of people mentioned that they like the lighting in the short film, and I wouldn't be able to achieve such a nice light play and the softness to it with Eevee, or at least I wasn't able to. I know that guys at Blender Studio were able to do this with their latest short film called Charge, but they are the absolute experts, and I'm not really that expert at Eevee, at using Eevee. So in spring last year, I decided to render in cycles, and that That's why it took me so long, actually, to render out Heroes of Bronze. But yeah, no, I don't regret it, because the result made it, the cycles rendering really made the result so much more better for me. So yeah. That being said, all of my shots are basically divided into various layers. So there is foreground, midground, background, then some far background and sky usually. And some of those layers I was able to render using Eevee because it's faster, and the background layers were usually like there was depth of field, it was all blurred, so the quality wasn't really that important. So in those cases I used Eevee. But for the foreground layers, like I'd say probably all of the shots are rendered using cycles. Thanks for all the positive comments in the comment section. Yusuf asks, how to make a picture of the sky very beautiful like in your film? I used photos. That's all. The whole trick about it. I used photos. I didn't build my skies in the short film. Like all of the skies that you can see in all my renders are just photos, huge planes that I put in the very far background of my Blender 3D scenes, and that's it. I just picked the right picture to use as a sky, and I have little tricks how to make it move. So that's it. You know, I use a lot of fakery in my 3D scenes, and I try to make everything as fast as possible to render. So using 2D images as skies is one of the tricks that I use all the time. Ruvars, hope I pronounce it right, asks, where are you from? I'm from the Czech Republic, and I live in Prague. Another question, have you used geometry nodes in this project? Not really. I started creating my scenes even before geometry nodes came out, and then I was gradually like learning how to use them, but I never reached really a point where I was really confident in using geometry nodes, and I didn't really need it. I still think that particles, the only thing that I used geometry nodes so far for is terrain generation and particles, emitting particles, and all that I was able to do with regular particles or some add-ons that I bought. For example, for vegetation, I use Scatter, I use Polygonics vegetation add-on, and also vegetation add-on. It's called like that. So I use these three to generate all my vegetation, and I didn't really need to rely on geometry nodes. But I definitely plan on diving deep into this topic in the near future. Temujin asks, are you going to create like both west and east? I'm not sure what you mean, but if you mean like if I'm gonna show various environments from not only from Greece but also from Persia in my future work, definitely. I plan on focusing on the Persian Empire much more in the future. I'm still researching it, so I don't want to like. I don't want to depict it in a historically inaccurate way, so there is still some research ahead of me, but definitely I'll be showing both sides of the conflict, and yeah, it really interests me. From what I've learned about the Persians, I just fell in love with their culture, so I can't wait for that. Charlie asks, or says, I wish you would do a Beowulf Viking raid short. Not really my topic. I really want to stay with this period that I research so much and that I love so much, which is the Greco-Persian Wars. So sorry for that. There is a lot of questions about this, whether I will do, for example, Alexander the Great or Peloponnesian Wars. But for this project, for this ongoing project, I will be staying with Greco-Persian Wars. Magister asks, what do you think of the movie 300 and 300 Rise of an Empire? Well, I liked it when it came out, but I didn't know anything about ancient history and ancient Greece at that point. So I enjoyed it for what it was, for what it is. There are some fun combat sequences, definitely. And I'd lie if I say that I didn't see both movies like 4 times. For the first one, even more. So yeah, and wonderful music, definitely there. I love the music. But knowing what I know now, 300 was actually one of the reasons why I started Heroes of Bronze in the first place. Because I thought, and especially after reading books like the Long War series from Christian Cameron and the Gates of Fire from Stephen Pressfield, I realized that history was so much more cool than 300 depicted. It, instead of guys in their underwear, we had these wonderful armor and everything in that period of time, like one of the best armor designs ever made. And basically, they intentionally omitted it for this. Of course, it's based on comic book, so I can't say anything negative about it. For what it was great. But I think showing the history more accurate would be even cooler. So, yeah. Hopefully. And another reason why I started the project is that there is not enough of this topic in the popular culture, in the movie culture. And well, yeah, there was Assassin's Creed Odyssey, but the story didn't really appeal to me too much. And if there is more series or movies or games like this that are more historically accurate and more realistic, I'd be happy. I'd be very happy to watch that, buy that, play that. Knowledge Tech asks, what is your PC specs? I always forget this. I will post it in the description of this video, okay? Sorry, I'm not very technical type. I just bought something that everybody said is good enough PC configuration, and I'm happy. I have one thing I will mention is I have 2 computers, one that I work on, another one where I render. There is a NVIDIA GeForce 3090 graphics card there, so I render most of my stuff on that computer, and I work on another one slightly less powerful. So that's what really saved me when rendering this project. Quatarox is asking, this is going too far, but I know this is going too far, but except for Heroes of Bronze, do you have any other project in mind? Not like this, but I will be making this year another course for cgboost.com, and it is called Mastering Cinematic Storytelling in Blender. And there I will be guiding the students through like various rules of cinematography, everything I've learned at film school, but applied to 3D graphics. So that's a big project that I have planned for this year. Vagodin, when you use planes as sky, do you need to put similar planes around the scene, such as behind the camera, so that the metal or any reflective materials reflects the similar sky? Yes, I need to match at least roughly my HDRI that I put around my whole scene. I need to match it with the sky image. Of course, it would be very problematic if, for example, I had a night HDRI and sunset image in the background. It wouldn't match at all. So definitely I need to match these 2 elements together. Hawk says, hey Martin, I bought your course today and I love it. Thank you so much, and I hope it will help you. What did you master in Blender since your course? Not much. I'm sorry. I was like finishing parts of a project like Heroes of Bronze is really just repetition of the same thing. Finishing up lighting, finishing up animation, figuring out rendering and compositing. I wouldn't say I've mastered anything new. I was just polishing my previous workflows. I have I have dabbled a lot in animation, if I can call it that, because I was using motion capture data either from some animation libraries that I bought or from my own Rococo mocap suit recordings. And I was able to learn how to basically adjust, clean up, and improve my animations in Blender once I capture it with Rococo. But I'm not a master at this, not by a long shot. So, yeah, I don't think I've mastered anything new this last year. Sorry, I lost my track. Which historical time periods are you interested in? Asks Magister. Well, you know the one that I'm most interested in, which is the Greco-Persian Wars. But then I love so many other periods, including Alexander the Great, including even Roman period, even though I'm not really that fond of Romans. It's like, for me, the ancient Greece and their various city-states versus the Roman Empire, it's like a small graphic studio versus a big corporate company. So I don't like corporate companies. So I always favor small, independent stuff like this. And this is what ancient Greece is for me, and I find it much more like a adventure spirit there. That's why I favor it so much. And especially before the Peloponnesian Wars and before the Diadochi Wars after Alexander, which is like one long embarrassment. In my mind, at least, it's like one long embarrassment for Greek history. I find this period of Greco-Persian Wars, without idealizing it in any way, I find it the most heroic time that I know of. From some reason, I don't like Troy that much. I'm not sure why. It never hit me as much as this period that I'm depicting. And then, of course, there are many periods of history, including medieval one. I'm very living in Czech Republic. I have very close to medieval Bohemian and German history. So that's one thing that really, I'm interested in that. And Second World War is interesting for me very much as well. The great Western and Eastern history. Oh, Temujin, yeah, what I meant was, are you going to create Western history and Eastern history? Yes, I hope I answered that one. Definitely it will be depicting both sides of the conflict. Chase asks, what about a video game? I've been in the video games industry for 4 years, and that gave me one thing, and that's the realization of how it's the most difficult project imaginable. And it's completely unrealistic for me at this point to start making a video game. I hope somebody else makes it, but for me it's unrealistic, and it's not my goal, because the format of the story I'm making is not really well suited for video games. So yeah, no, not at this point, but I hope somebody else does. Will there be Quartarox asks, will there be difference between different soldier armors and arms for different satrapies, like from Persian divisions or provinces? Definitely. As I mentioned, I'm currently researching this topic a lot. So for my future projects, I definitely want to differentiate the Persian, the Sakai and Scythians and Egyptians much more. In the short film, I just had this one pretty similar mass of Persian-styled soldiers, even though at Marathon there weren't that many Persians. But intentionally, I made the Persians all look alike a little bit, so that there is no confusion in the short film. But of course, I know they were very different. Everybody looked slightly different. They were very colorful, not just red and gold, but so many other colors. So I will work on that as well. George Joy, have you played Assassin's Creed Odyssey? Yes, I finished it. The world was amazing. The story was crap. I didn't like it. So nowadays I just play the exploration mode, or what is it? Like the education mode of the game, and just walk through the world and explore it, and that's amazing. I love the trireme gameplay of that game, but yeah, the combat was too cheesy, the story was too modern. Yeah, I didn't like much about the actual content in the game. Magister asks, would you consider doing an historical version of 300? Well, it's not really connected to my Heroes of Bronze story, because Heroes of Bronze is from the point of view of Athenians, and they didn't fight at Thermopylae. But I would love to do that. I'm not sure how to connect it to my story, and it would be a lot of work, and I wouldn't want to waste my time that I have on something that's detracting me from the actual story. But it would be cool. So yeah, that's one thing I'm considering, but I can't promise anything at this point. Adosk, I guess. Is it your face on some of the characters in the movie? No. Some people said that. And after somebody told me that it's like I made my appearance in the game. Suddenly I started to see it, I guess, but it was never my intention. So that's funny that you mentioned it. But no, it's basically characters from software called Character Creator. I took some of their presets and I adjusted them as much as I could. And only like by a chance they somewhat resemble maybe my face, but no, it wasn't my intention at all. Which film school did you study, sir? Says Derjoy. I studied in Czech Republic. I studied film school in a city called Zlín, and it was focused on directing and screenwriting. Jill asks, do you think it would be easier to move the rendering to Unreal Engine 5 and use it in your advantage? The capabilities that Lumen and Nanite can bring. Yeah, that's another thing that I'm gonna be testing in the near future. I definitely want to jump into Unreal Engine 5. I worked a little bit with Unreal Engine 4. Didn't make me as happy to transition from Blender, and besides I wanted to prove a point that I can do this in Blender. So that's why I finished Heroes of Bronze with Blender. I can't really promise anything, because it's a big thing for me to transition into a new engine. I would need to learn it, but there is also a problem that I have with Unreal Engine 5 or all Unreal Engines, but 5 as well. It all looks a little bit the same. I'm not sure if you experience the same thing, but every time I see something made in Unreal Engine, be it a game or a short film, I immediately know, okay, this is Unreal Engine, and I can't really achieve with it a certain look, a more unique look. And I don't like it. I don't like it, and that's what Blender allowed me to do. I feel like I've created a certain visual style for Heroes of Bronze. Like when you see an image on the internet, you can probably tell, okay, this is Heroes. And that's what I really love about Cycles and Blender and what it allowed me to do. And I don't want to create just another project that looks like everything else made in Unreal Engine 5. That being said, Unreal Engine 5 is amazing, and it blew my mind with all the technical demos. So yeah. No critique. That wasn't a critique from me. It was just my opinion, and but yeah, I'll be thinking about it. Stuart asks, are you planning on Stuart Hochstetler? Are you planning on making any tutorials on armies and combat in Blender? I should. This was one of the things that I was always like constantly figuring out throughout the process of making the short film, and I didn't have time to really like sit down and gather my knowledge up until this point. So maybe this year I will try to do a tutorial on this topic, or a short course. And every year, I didn't do it this year because I was finishing Heroes of Bronze, but every year on my channel I like put a little poll with some options on what to vote for, and I let subscribers vote for possible topics for a free tutorial series. The previous year it was about my character creation pipeline in Character Creator, iClone, and Blender, and yeah, this could be one of the topics for such a series. Kire asks how to build your own pipeline for 3D animation. Just lots of experimenting. Yeah, it's not really a straightforward process. You just I recommend trying, if you're starting up, I recommend trying various stuff. I recommend making little videos, short films, something small where you try out different topics that interest you, and gradually you yourself learn what you like the best. There is no straightforward workflow for this, unfortunately. Sage asks, please answer my previous question. What was your previous question? Sorry, I might have missed it. And by the way, Historic Nerd, thank you for the $10. Oh, thank you. Sage, I can't see the... I see now your question. 16 gigabytes of RAM, Ryzen 7, and RTX 3050. Can you please tell me if this specification is okay for animation? The RAM is on the lower setting, or I would recommend you having more RAM. So like 64 at this point is probably the best. Even more, but 64 I would recommend. Otherwise, I think you're okay. Magister asks, if you could design your own hoplite armor and shield emblem during that time period, what would it be? Probably a combination of Nicephorus and Hermogenes armor. Let me scrub back in time through this presentation. Yeah, you can't really see it clearly here, but there is this guy with a very heavy archaic armor. It's called bell armor. So this heavy armor is the coolest thing I have in Heroes. Even though it's very archaic, and at Marathon, which is what the short film is about, it would be really outdated. I just love the way it looks. And the helmet of Nicephorus, I love that shape. It's kind of open, not as enclosed as the archaic helmets. So some combination of that would be ideal for me. Ideal, yeah. Jill asks, how do you manage the polygon count in Blender, specifically with so many details and megascans assets? Do you use displacements or only normal maps? I did not manage my poly count too much, because I found that especially when you have higher, faster computer and a lot of RAM, in Blender poly count wasn't really that much of a big deal for me. It slowed down the viewport, yes, but I'm used to it in Blender. It's something that happens all the time, yeah, so that put aside, I didn't really try to restrict my polygon count. What I did try to restrict was the amount of textures I was using, and especially like downscaling a lot of them from only use 4K textures for something very close to the camera. And usually I just use 2K textures, 1K textures, even 512 pixels wide textures. That was a big deal, because if I had a lot of high resolution textures, that caused the rendering from Blender to basically freeze, and the graphic card to run out of memory. I could always just jump into the CPU rendering, but that's way slower. So yeah, that's something I needed to take care of, really restricting the number of high resolution textures. But poly count, that was just okay for me in my experience. And do you use displacement maps or only normal maps? I mostly use just normal maps. Very few displacement maps throughout. Console asks, what do you use to write the plot and put events into the timeline? I use Scrivener. It's a software for specifically building stories and writing them. And I actually just released a behind-the-scenes video on my Patreon about this very topic, about the pre-production of Heroes of Bronze. So if you become the Hoplite tier patron, you will be receiving these making of videos where I talk in detail about these sorts of topics. Blanket Party asks, what is your knowledge of Indo-Europeans, such as Yamnaya? None. Sorry, I guess. I need to educate myself in that topic. And Jill asks, how many RAM do you have? 64, and I plan on having double that amount in the future. And that's it. I think we've arrived at the end of these questions. Thank you very much for this session. We are hitting on 1 hour. If you have one last question, you can ask it now, but I'll be slowly ending this slightly shorter live stream. As mentioned, you will not have to wait for future content in the Heroes of Bronze universe. I will be releasing new stuff very soon, and the very first thing that will hit will be the short story, A Few Steadfast Friends, and it will be about Nicephorus and his few steadfast friends. So I can't wait for your reactions to that, and on all my channels I will notify you about its release and how you can get it, so no worries. Quartarox is asking, how many polis, city-states in ancient Greece, is planned to be shown? I have Athens, Miletus, Naxos. That's it so far. But in the future books, I will show more. But in the first book, it's just these three. And Susa. You could see the Persian capital city in the short film, actually. What was the last battle scene of Heroes of Bronze depicting? It was Plataea, and it was the little boy Alkaios, basically growing up, taking up the armor of his fallen father, and himself fighting at the last big battle of this, like the main part of the Greco-Persian Wars. Of course, the fights between the Persians and Greeks continued for many decades after that, but like the main part of Greco-Persian Wars ended with the Greek victory at Plataea, one of the biggest battles in the ancient times, actually. Jill asked, are you doing everything just yourself, or do you have a team of people helping you? So far, it was just me, but in the future, I want to hire a person or two to help me with some technical stuff, animations, simulations, stuff like that. Charlie asks, would you be able to add my face to a character? Well, maybe, yeah. If you send me some photos of your face from profile, from the front, and from like a quarter look, you can send it to my email. You will find it on the website, heroesofbronze.com. I can try. Console asks, which tier has access to this video? Probably the making of videos. I am releasing the making of videos for the Hoplite tier, which is the highest. It's $10 per month. I may be adding more benefits to an even a higher tier, like $20 per month. We'll see. Some Royal Guard tier or something. But so far the highest is $10, and there you will find everything that is on Patreon. And there's quite a bit of things on my Patreon because I've been working on it for 2 years or 3 years now. So a lot of models to download, a lot of behind the scenes, my scenes as well, breakdowns, and making of videos. What was the total time duration taken to do this animation? Asks Sage. I can't say. I didn't track my time. Maybe next time I will, but I wasn't even sure I'm gonna be able to finish it. So yeah, I forgot to track my time. It might have been a mistake, but that's how it was. And I can only say that it was done like the first 3 years I've been working on it in my spare time, like in the afternoons or 1 day a week, 2 days a week. In the last year I was working on it like 4 to 5 days a week, full time. So like that, 4 years in total, but the last year was only the last year was full-time work. Hello Dimrock. I'm actually ending the live stream now, but thank you for showing up, and you can replay everything again. So, Magister, 100 Patreon tier, you can have your face on a background character. Yeah, that's a good idea actually. So let me switch back to this screen here, how to support. Definitely subscribe to the newsletter. There's a link in the description section below. Please share and comment the short film. It would be much appreciated, and it helps YouTube to share the short film among more people. And check out the Patreon. There's a lot of stuff there to go behind the scenes of Yours Bronze, and I will be releasing the short stories and the book, the first book in the series there. So I'll be slowly ending. And Dimrock asks, do you have a plan to use machine learning or AI to speed up your working on the project? Definitely. This, some people are scared of this. I think projects such as mine will be really benefited by this technology. It scares me a little bit too, but hopefully I will be able to use it for the project's benefit. And with that, I thank you very much for your questions. This was a lot of fun. I'm glad we had 1 hour of I wanted to really say all the details about the future of this project, and I'm always happy to answer your questions. So thank you very much. Have a great rest of the evening, morning, whatever time is in your country. And I can't wait to share with you the future stages of this project. But for now, thank you so much, and bye-bye.